Good morning, good morning, good morning to you folks. Welcome. Another episode, Tackling Turnover with Teamwork. Before I get started, let me just make sure we are live on all the platforms. Facebook, what's going on? Facebook, what's going on? Yes. We here. Facebook, good morning, Facebook. Great morning to you. Let me go check LinkedIn. LinkedIn, what's up, LinkedIn? LinkedIn's ready to roll. Let's get it. Let's get it. Good morning, LinkedIn. Good morning, LinkedIn. Good morning, LinkedIn. All right, YouTube, what's up? Let's see YouTube. You guys see the thumbnail there? We are talking about the concept of being loyal to the soil. We'll get into the details in a couple seconds here. I just want to make sure all the platforms are Black Friday deals. Let's get through the ads. What a Thanksgiving that was. Let me just tell you, I don't even have time to dive deep into that now. All right, cool. So we're all good. All right, welcome. I'm back. As one Crookshank here, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time published author and educator, here for another episode of Tackling Turnover with Teamwork. Got a great show, lot of great things for us to discuss today. But before I get into it, let's get through a few announcements. First things first. If you are in the West Palm Beach area, if you're currently residing in the West Palm Beach area and you are interested in free boxing lessons, make sure you message me. Get in touch with me. You see the QR code right there on the screen. I do them every 2 weeks. And we'll be getting that going. It's through, actually, I'm a group leader at a church named Life Group Church. So all you got to do is hit that QR code, put your information in, and I'll send you over the details. So please, again, you see the screen. It's free boxing lessons. It's something that you definitely want to take advantage of in regards to not only your health and fitness, but also your walk of faith, because you'll be around folks who are really, are doing some productive things in their lives or trying to figure out how to get on the right track and things like that. So we're going to be growing together. It's going to be a great group that we're going to be meeting up every 2 weeks. All right. So that's number one. Number two, business owners, everything I do to serve you all. I built a business, I built a concept. Everything I'm all about is about teaching teamwork, using the lessons that I learned from the game of football and aligning those lessons with business owners for you guys to create more cohesive teams and create a team-like environment that'll allow you to thrive. You want a business in which people are walking into that business and it feels very much like a championship high school football team. I created, 10 steps in 10. This is 1,000% free. Go to freeguide.makeitmove.com. There's 10 ways in which you could be using innovative teamwork right now, implementing it in your business, and you'll start to see the change and see your organization move in a more cohesive way. And it is officially up. It is ready for you to join. All right. Patreon, baby. Your boy is on Patreon, dog. Patreon.com/as144. I'm so pumped to have this. The plan was actually to have this ready before December, so I delivered a little earlier than expected, which is what we're all about over here in the Move Swiftly world. We're about showing up on time, guaranteeing certain results, and making sure certain things are done with a level of efficiency, a level of class, and a level of passion and integrity. All right. So patreon.com/as144. You officially now have an opportunity to join a membership, join a group of exclusive group of business owners, in which we're going to be diving more deep into the concept and how we can keep people, how we could maybe, transition folks to where they're utilizing their strengths and, make it so your business doesn't go under because you can't keep employees. That is what I want to, that's my mission. That's my work, is to avoid this idea, avoid the inevitable, avoid this principle in which your business is going under because you can't keep a staff together. All right. So those are the announcements. Now, as far as today's show, all right, we are discussing the idea of being loyal to the soil. All right, loyal to the soil. Before we get into this, let's get a quality definition of loyal to the soil and the meaning and what it's all about. All right, so loyal to the soil, it means this is just kind of let's see, I'm looking at the Google definition of it right now. People being loyal means you back where you come from, no matter where. I like that one. So if you were to Google the term loyal to the soil, it would say you back where you come from, no matter where the journey of life has taken you. All right. And that's what we're going to be discussing today. Now, before I get into how or why I chose this topic, let me just give you some context. All right. I knew that, because I'm actually recording this the day after Thanksgiving, and I knew I was going to be traveling back home to Maryland. I knew there was going to be a lot of things when I walk around the house, when I walk around the area, or when I drive around the area. Every time I come back home, I live in Florida now, but every time I come back home to Silver Spring, Maryland, I get wrapped up in a ton of memories. As you can see behind me, there's pictures of my sister, my niece, my nephew, back in my college graduation, parents when they were young. I mean, this right here where I'm sitting is where it all started. I mean, I'd sit here, there was a laptop right, I'd sit right here, I'd write up emails, I'd make phone calls. You see my college degree, you see so many things going on. So when it came to the topic that I was going to pick today, I knew it had to be something that involved my upbringing and involved a lot of the things that I saw growing up. And this right here is what I saw growing up. I mean, the books I'm always talking about writing books. I mean, it was one of my favorite books, actually, is Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. And he talks about how the successful folks who you look at as really successful were blessed with a lot of fortunate opportunities, fortunate circumstances that allowed them to be successful. He documents a hockey team that had a leg up on certain players because they were born after a certain date. He talks about the book, by the way, is written by Malcolm Gladwell, but he talks about the Beatles who would, play for 10 hours, back when no one knew them. I mean, and just a bunch of fortunate opportunities that they had. And this right here, this where I'm sitting in and giving you this message. These were my fortunate opportunities. All right. Because I'm in a room full of books. My dad would make me read stories to him over and over. In fact, I remember having this conversation yesterday when they were asking me about the work I'm doing now. I teach at a school named the Center for Creative Education. And one of the things that we're all about is making sure that young students, particularly young African-American students, because that's the majority of the kids that come to the school, but making sure that they're reading on grade level and monitoring their scores and all that. And I got asked, how I enjoy it. I told them, look, I enjoy dealing with the kids. The only problem I actually have is, when the adults get involved, and, my passion becomes too much because this is me. This is what I came from. This is what I know. Right. So all that being said, that's where the whole loyal to the soil topic came from today. And it as expected, as I was around it, around it, and I'm around all these pictures, I'm around family. I mean, there's still family members still here. They're sleeping right now, but I'm sure they're going to be watching this at some point. And I have I'll have a whole nother episode dedicated specifically to everything that Thanksgiving was all about, and all the kind of the generations of people that came in and out and all that stuff. I'll have that later on. But in terms of that, again, that because it's Thanksgiving, but then also if we look at tomorrow when it comes to college football, which is a topic that I talk about very frequently because of the example that college football provides for teamwork and the amount of material and amount of things that I've learned, particularly from the college football world. I played for two programs, one a Division II program at East Jefferson City, Tennessee, and one an FCS program in Long Island, New York, right? Two completely different worlds. I was blessed enough to be a part of those two programs, and I saw a lot of things that happened. I saw a lot of great examples when it comes to college football. If we're talking about tomorrow, it's rivalry week, baby. It's rivalry week, baby. It is rivalry week. It is it. This is the week of college football. In my personal opinion, this is just my opinion. This is the week in college football that I don't want to say it's better, but it's right up there with national championship and, college football playoffs and all that, because this is the week. This is the week where we separate the men from the boys. This is the week where legacies are born. This is the week in which you win your rival game. You beat your in-state rival. It's a good feeling. You get a whole 365 days of talking mess. You get a whole off season of feeling good. So seeing that it's rivalry week and I'm back home in Maryland, I had to talk to you guys about the whole idea of being loyal to the soil, because myself, again, the college football teams that I root for, that I'm a diehard fan of, they have not had good seasons. They have not had good seasons at all. The first team, and I've talked about them on multiple occasions, and I'm going to address them in a second, is the Michigan Wolverines. All right, the Michigan Wolverines is the team. Again, I've been a diehard fan since I was a kid. All right, and then if I had to pick a second team when it comes to college football, it'll be the Florida State Seminoles. Now, how I got there, seeing that I've never actually been to Detroit and I've never actually been to I live in Florida, but I've never been to Tallahassee, which is where Florida State is. The part of Florida that I live in, you would think I was more of a Miami Hurricanes fan, but I'm not. I'm more so, again, Michigan Wolverines, Florida State Seminoles. Those are the two squads in which it would be great. It was actually one year when I first got out there, it was Michigan taking on Florida State in the Orange Bowl, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see those two teams go at it. Last year, both of those teams went undefeated, so it was a good year college football wise for me. All right, but anyway, I have to talk to you about why those two teams mean so much to me, and it has nothing to do with the university per se, but it has everything to do with how loyal I am to the youth football programs I played for and what they were able to provide for me, the sense of identity, the sense of belonging that these programs provided for me because of the things that I actually lived through. All right. So to go back a little bit, I was in, I was fourth grade. I started playing football in third grade for a team named the Rosemary Raiders. And then that program shut down for a team named the Briggs Cheney White Oak Warriors. All right. And that was the team I played for the next 6 years, all the way until I got to 10th grade in high school. All right. So again, started third grade and it went the same right after. So from fourth grade all the way to 10th grade, I'm playing for the same youth football program. And that I don't even have time today to discuss what happened after, from high school to college. That's another conversation for another day. But as far as what we're going to be discussing today, it's how the loyalty to that program led me to being loyal to the Michigan Wolverines and also being a fan of the Florida State Seminoles. So let me just take you through these pictures real quick. All right. If you look at the one on the left, this was I was in sixth grade. So I think I was in seventh grade, actually. I was in seventh grade in this picture. So from third grade all the way through seventh grade, and now I'm 12. So you're talking about someone who's a little above a toddler, like basically an elementary school kid, all the way to middle school. I would be, and I have the jerseys right here, but you see the wing helmet at the bottom, and you see the navy and the blue and maize, the same colors as Michigan, same thing. Everything we had was all about, the Michigan brand. And I didn't really follow college football that much. I didn't really know what it was about until I actually saw them on TV. So I saw them on TV. I saw Michigan on TV during these years. So you see that picture to the left. That was when I fell in love with the game of football, where I started watching college football and I saw those wing helmets. So we have shirts, we have program again, White Oak Warriors. You see the wing helmets, Warriors football. You see it. I still to this day, that jersey that you just saw, they still have it. It's here. Andover Auto, the Warriors. You see the logo here, the Chiefs, all that. It's still got, obviously haven't been washed. Still have not. Still sweaty, still has not been washed, actually. And I actually remember when it was time to turn in the equipment. James White, who was the president of the organization at the time, it was time to turn in the equipment, and then he just asked my mother. He goes, "Hey, do you want to buy your jersey?" And or whether it was like, how much is it or something like that. And I believe he said like $25, something like that. But then when after we agreed to buy it or whatever, he goes, okay, so you won't be getting a return on the deposit you made or whatever it is like that. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool to know that it's still here, still Warmarks, the whole thing, right? So anyway, let me just take you through the last 3 years. The way the last 3 years ended when I was wearing the maize and blue. All right. So it was the second year I was there. I had a coach. His name was Coach Art Lanham. All right. So Coach Art, first time in my life that I've ever met a white coach or I've ever been around a white coach. All right. This was, again, a group of young black boys playing in White Oak, kind of the suburbs of Washington, D.C., again, playing ball. Most of the time you see young black kids who come together and we're playing football, having fun, doing whatever it is. But most of the times at that age, the coaches are somebody's uncle or somebody's father's coaching, or you get, most of the time at that age, you get black coaches, right? So this was the first time that we actually had he was an old white guy too, like old white coach, and he looked like one of them old school coaches that you see on TV. And that was Coach Art. He came in and he had a certain assertiveness to him, right? He had an assertiveness to him. It was an official feel that he brought to the program. Now, the year before, we had went 2-6. And then this next year he comes in, boom, we're 6-2. We're in the championship. Like, we're winning games and we're buying in. We're believing in this. And we have these wing helmets. This is why, again, telling you loyal to the soil. But this is why these wing helmets, I see these wing helmets, you see these colors, you see this, you see what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to these wing helmets and when it comes to actually seeing it right there, it's a different beast, bro. It's different. It's different because I'm thinking of us coming together. I'm thinking of Coach Art. I'm thinking of all these things going on. And this is when I was really being bought in. Football was real. Football was something special. So here's what happened. We lose to a team in the regular season named the Peppermill Pirates. And I'll never forget this because the star of that team, his name was Kenny Tate. And Kenny Tate ended up playing at the Math. And, I ended up having to go against him when I got to high school and all that. And, again, another conversation for another day. But so we lose to Peppermill in the regular season. And then we see them again in the playoffs to see who's going to go on to the championship and win and all that. And then what happened during that game is what made it so I learned life is incredibly fragile. Life is incredibly precious. And you cannot ever take the moments for granted. You cannot ever let a day go by in which you're taking the moments for granted, because we're beating the Peppermill Pirates. It's at the end of the game, and all right, let me get a drink of water before I say this, because this one still hits me to this day. All right, so we're playing the Peppermill Pirates, and we're winning the game. It's towards the end of the game, and we have an opportunity to kind of seal the game and put it away, and it's towards, I'd say, maybe 2 or 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and I was playing guard at that point. I was I was on offense at that time, and Coach Art, he calls a timeout and he gives us this look. All 11 of us gives us a look, gets us right in the eye, looks us right in the eye, say, "Let's go. I told you all. You guys didn't believe you can beat them, but we're on the cusp of pulling off this upset, beating a team that, just 2 weeks ago, just absolutely blasted us. And we're right here. Just finish the game." All right. That was his speech. In fact, the cameras caught him during the halftime speech, and he was talking about how who's played Mortal Kombat. He goes, right now you got to take your arms, stick it down their chest, and rip their heart out. It was moving, and it was moving to the point where I'm like, as I'm talking about this, I'm still seeing Coach Art like right here talking to me and say, "Come on, Aswan, keep rolling, keep doing what you got to do." I was a captain on that team. So what happened was, after the timeout was called and he gave us a little pep talk, the next thing I knew, I was being rushed off the field. And as I'm being rushed off the field, I happen to look down, and Coach Art is like struggling for breaths. Images planted right here in my skull. He's struggling for breaths. He could not breathe. He was like to this day where it still messes, kind of touches on the heartstrings a lot, not a little bit, a lot. Still touches me to this day, thinking about just that moment of going from the field about to win a football game to now I'm looking at my coach on the ground struggling with for breaths, right? And long story short, that was it. Coach Art passed away, dead. Had a massive heart attack right there on the field, gone. And I was with you understand, with these wing helmets, all right, it means a whole lot more because these wing helmets, it was all blue and gold. We were wearing the blue jerseys, the gold pants looked just like the Michigan Wolverines. So, regardless of the outcome tomorrow when they play Ohio State, obviously we're heavy underdogs. I'm going to be riding with the Michigan Wolverines for life. All right, this is my team because the next year, the guy that they brought in to replace Coach Art, his name is Coach Brian Davis. The first thing he introduced us to was an acronym. It's an acronym named WATER: work ethic, attitude, teamwork, enthusiasm, and respect. And when it comes to how he built before I go, let me just show you here real quick because I have it right here. It's still on t-shirts, guys. It's still on t-shirts. I did like this as one, move swiftly, speaker, all that stuff did not just come out of nowhere. And I'll dive into why it's black and silver in a second. But the next year when Coach Brian came in, I remember the first practice, you could tell, now that I'm on this side of life, you could tell that Coach Bryant was told by several of his peers, several people, like, look, this group of young men that you're inheriting, this group of players that you're inheriting, they lived through something together. They lived through something traumatic together, and it's going to take you being all in. You can't be that coach that's just there, just BSing. All right. You got to love this. You got to actually understand that these young boys just turned around their season and they watched their coach die on the field. So for you, you got to respect their space. You got to respect their hard work. You got to come in and really love these boys like they're your own. And that's what Coach Brian did. That's why to this day, I'll be 36 years old in January. To this day, I say it all the time. Coach Brian Davis was the best football coach that I have ever played for, because that was a heavy weight for him to carry, and he was able to carry it. So here's what happened. We were still wearing the Michigan colors, the Michigan uniforms for 2 years with Coach Brian. All right. So Coach Brian came in, and for the next 2 years, we were in the Michigan colors. And the first year pretty much ended like they did last year. I'm saying last year because but we're talking about the year before. So it ended like the year before, where we won the game. So with the Coach Art year, we happened to lose in the Montgomery County Championship. But the next year, it was ended the same way, where we lost to Peppermint, and then we beat them in the playoffs, and then we ended up losing to another team named Olney in the county championship. Then the final year in which we wore the Michigan uniforms was the 85-pound year. And there was even some drama. The reason we transitioned was because of politics and because of how things just turned out. So we went undefeated that year. All right. The 85-pound year. The second year with Coach Brian, where we're in the wing helmets and all that, we were undefeated. We absolutely dominated every single team that we played, dominated them. All right. And then we get to the Super Bowl. And this was the year in which you had to weigh in. Not the year, but this was the age in which you had to weigh in every single game. When you get to so how youth football works. So let me educate you guys real quick on how youth football works. So they go by weight. So when it comes to youth football, you have to make weight. You have to make a certain weight before the season, before you're eligible to be on a certain roster. Everybody does a weigh-in. Once you make weight, you're good to go for the season, whatever it is, right? So by the time we got to the playoffs, we had to weigh in before the game because I guess the commissioners, they took into account that we could get heavier or we can grow within the 3 months of us playing football, whatever it is, whatever these damn commissioners, whatever the league rules were. So when you get to the playoffs, we had to weigh in. We had to weigh in before every single game. So they had the scales there, and we're weighing in before every game. And here's the thing about this, and I'm bringing this up for a reason. what Coach Bryant and the other coaches would do is that they would weigh us the night before. So the games were on Saturday, and they would weigh us the Friday night before the game. They would take certain guys. Certain guys didn't practice. Certain guys did not practice going in like that Friday night because they went to the sauna to lose more weight and to, get the weight off them to make sure. So they would make sure. It's not like our coaches were not aware of the fact that certain guys were like a little heavier or whatever it is, and they made sure that they game plan for that. This is how ridiculous this thing is, and this is why to this day it still pisses me off to this day. Pisses me off, man. Because we get to the Super Bowl, we're about to put the cap on an undefeated season. We're about to play. We're playing the team that we first scrimmaged. So we first scrimmaged the Wildcats, the SYA Wildcats. I think it's some team out in Northern Virginia that we went to. We went to the Redskins practice facility and scrimmaged them at the beginning of the year. We tapped all up in that ass. I mean, just beat them up and down the Redskins, though. So the Redskins have like a park outside, like in the Northern Virginia area. So we drove out to Northern Virginia earlier that year, just bust their ass, and then we end up playing them in the Super Bowl. So it was like, come on, dog, we are about to handle business. And I remember that year, everyone was expecting, and this was actually the first year in which I wore this jersey, wore the 4-4. So I didn't wear a different number until I got to college. But anyway, so we get to the Super Bowl game, we're playing the Wildcats, and I didn't have to worry about missing weight because I was a kind of light kid. I never had weight issues and stuff like that. But when I left, so I go away and I turn around and I see two of our main players. The names were Mike Smith and Akeem Fernandez. And these were two caps. So I was one of the captains, also Surly Monzi was like youth football all-star, but Mike and Akeem were the other two captains. So it was myself, Mike, Surly, and Akeem. We're all captains. And I see them two in tears, like crying in tears. And it was very obvious that both of them missed weight and they didn't let them play. I was in shock. I was like, what? Like, how could that happen? Be seeing that what we did to prepare, knowing that we were going to get weight and knowing that the coaches would make the sacrifice. They'd make the sacrifice that certain players couldn't practice on Friday because they were in the sauna. We knew the damn weight. So again, I can't sit up here and officially say, "Oh well, they rigged the scales." I mean, I don't have any proof of that. I don't know if there was any proof of that, but it was clear that, like, come on, bro, come on, y'all a bunch of hating, this just disgusting mofos, right? So anyway, with that, on top of that, we end up only losing the game by 3 points. It took them and if you go and watch the game, it took a holding call. So the game was mostly played 18-15. They were up by 3 points, and Surly breaks a long run, and they end up calling a holding penalty on the other side of the field. So with them taking away two of our players with the weight and whatever it was, they still couldn't beat us on the field. It took a damn penalty call when they actually played the game. So all that, as you can see, it still affects me to this day. But all that being said, after that night, the game of football was tarnished. The game of football was just mixed in with a lot of politics, a lot of biases, a lot of things that certain people wanted to, because that's what our heads were being filled with as kids. And it's hard to look back on it now and say, oh, we should have won the game, or, that there wasn't some sort of politics involved. We can at least agree to say, hey, there's something missing in this equation when you have two of your main players who you know were on point, and then the next morning, knowing everything that we lived through, knowing that we lived through a coach passing on the field, knowing that what we lived through to get there, knowing how everything turned out for us, that we would get to the final game, and all of a sudden, we forgot to weigh him in. Like, the whole thing just didn't add up. It didn't make sense. So I was like sixth grade at that time. For a young, impressionable kid like myself who found his identity on the football field, that the game was filled with a lot of politics and just a lot of biases and a lot of things that it just wasn't as pure. So from that point, what Coach Bryant actually did is he started up a brand new program. And this is where the silver and black logo. The White Oak Warriors, the silver and black logo. This is where it came from. This is the year 2002. So this silver and black logo that you see when you look up the White Oak Warriors now, that's why it became like that. So what happened was that offseason, you could tell. I mean, even Coach Bryant was in tears. He knew us for the past 2 years. I mean, built a undefeated team, champions. I mean, it was so much going on that year. The families were together. I remember actually my sister went to the grocery store one time and she picked up some Gatorade, and then she saw one of the dads from the team. The dad goes to her and said, "Oh, are you buying Gatorades for the team?" Was like, what? The whole community was rallying around that particular team, and to have the championship taken away from us off some bullshit like that, man, I still to this day get angry about it. But anyway, the next year, Coach Bryant takes over. He becomes a president of the newly formed White Oak Warriors, which is in 2002. And that's when we changed our colors from the Michigan colors. And we started wearing that Florida State spear, baby. You see that? So this is why, again, no matter what, I'm a loyal Michigan fan. But if you had to ask me that second team, you'll see that Florida State spear. Whenever I see that spear, it's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? So, what happened, and the reason it's like that is because that year we had merged with other teams. We had merged with other teams that were in that previous league. So the league before, what happened was White Oak Warriors, we were in the we were in the, what's it called? Montgomery County Capital Beltway. Yeah, that's right. It was called the Capital Beltway League. Capital Beltway League, where you had the teams from Montgomery County, you had the teams from DC, you had the teams from Northern Virginia, and we all competed for the big Super Bowl in our area. So what he did was, after that year, he took us from the Capital Beltway League and he moved us into what's known as Pop Warner football. And Pop Warner football is the granddaddy, the big time football, the real competition when it comes to youth football, because we're competing with teams all over the country now. It's not just a local league. It's not just one of these things where you just have to win your local championship or whatever. If you're going to win it all, you got to go through, like we went through Pennsylvania. We had to play teams in the Eastern region. And then after the Eastern region, we went to Florida to compete nationally with all the teams and all the guys that competed throughout the year. So what we did is we took basically the all-stars or the top players that were in that Capital Beltway League, and they all became White Oak Warriors, to where, as much as I love the fact, so that first year, 2002, again, I was a captain on the team that first year, and we went undefeated, won the championship and all that. And in fact, if you look up, you see that picture right there up top. I'll show you. You see this right here? It's still sitting here in the house. Still sitting in the house. That's actually when we went to Florida. We went to Florida and won the whole thing. So as great as that year was, and I'm not going to take anything from that year. In fact, I have it right here. Let me show you guys real quick, because I brought some artifacts. You see that? I still have the patches. It says it right there. 2002. Yeah. Told you, baby. Follow the force, baby. And then I think the pants. And so what actually made it so I made sure I had to come home, because apparently my mother was throwing stuff away, and then my sister calls me and was like, "Yo, Oz, your mother's throwing a lot of jerseys and stuff like that away." And I was like, "What?" So I called her. I made sure I bought the ticket and made sure I came home to make sure I slowed my mother. I was like, "Hold on, there's certain things that don't get thrown away. They don't get thrown away." So if you look at it, we still got that spear. I still have it right here. All the artifacts, all of it. I keep all that stuff, man. At some point when I get my own crib, and I'm gonna get my own house in Florida, I'm gonna make sure I get all that stuff over there. To have a whole room just for all this kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. So what happened was, we had that after that year where Mike and Akeem missed weight, we transitioned to Pop Warner and we merged everybody from the Capital Beltway League into one championship, into one team, and we just were clicking on all cylinders. We won the championship, did everything we needed to do to really come into a brand new league and handle our business. However, here's the point of me bringing this up to you. This is where I want you guys, again, as business owners, really understand this, because even though it was a great time being White Oak Warriors, the representation when it comes to winning the national championship as opposed to just a Capital Beltway League championship or just a youth level or Capital Beltway League Super Bowl, the loyalty is still with the Briggs Cheney White Oak Warriors, the Capital Beltway League White Oak Warriors, all right? Because I understood what made us have to transition. All right, this isn't taken away from the silver and black and the fair spirit. Again, still love them very much. But the point of me bringing this up is because when certain things change, when you start to change the identity of your business, or you're being forced to, I don't know, maybe you're going through a logo change, maybe you're going through a rebranding phase, maybe you're going through something, you have to understand now that there's certain principles, all right, certain principles that need to be in place as you transition into something new, as you transition to a new look in your business, as you transition to whatever it is you're going to be transitioning to, or whatever new image that you're trying to create. Because when I told you about the acronym that Coach Brian came up with, again, WATER, work ethic, attitude, teamwork, enthusiasm, and respect, he was touting that around when he first got there, when we were wearing the wing helmets. But when we got to this right here, it was on t-shirts. So regardless of the colors, regardless of the uniform, regardless of any of that stuff, there were certain principles that were instilled in us that made it so didn't matter where we went, didn't matter what we didn't like, didn't matter how things worked out. There was a certain principle, certain identity that we had, to the point where now, I'm gonna show you this picture real quick. If you look at my nephew, it's the same program, it's the same colors. Now they switched it to the W, the Wisconsin W. But before that, again, it was the spare and all that. But you can see how long this thing lasts, how much it actually, my nephew's 13 years old, and this is actually a younger picture of him. He's 13 years old. So this is a younger picture of him. I believe he's playing for the Woodbridge Warriors now, but he had started out playing for that same program. And I'm bringing this up to you because it's important when you're talking about aligning your business with the right values. All right. I talk to a lot of business owners. I work with a lot of business owners. In fact, one of the principles and the way I go about establishing and building relationships with clients is one of the things is making sure that the folks that I work with are wanting to own a business, and they are in the business of creating loyalty and in the business of making sure employees are staying there. All right. So the let me give you a quick history on what I've had to lift and what I've had to see is the amount of businesses that I've seen go under. And I'll say this from the heart now. I didn't plan on bringing this up, but there's about 6 different, in fact, 7 different business owners that I've seen lose their business. All right. Whether it is the fitness industry, or whether it's a church that they lost, or whatever it is, whatever the businesses that they tried, whether they tried to start up some camp, or they tried to start this, or they tried to start up a t-shirt company, all sorts of things that I've been around the block with a lot of different owners, a lot of different folks that try to do this and do that. Their biggest issue is not finding the right people and not getting the people right and not making it so the people that they bring in to go about promoting their business and growing it, they're not loyal enough. And I made sure I explained all of that to you, because when you align yourself and you really pay attention to what sports can do, win, lose, or draw on the field, when you pay attention to the buy-in and you figure out a way to align your business with that kind of commitment, that kind of energy, those kinds of folks, then you're going to start to see a growth in development, a growth in the type of people that you bring in, because you've invested in the right youth sports program. You've invested in the right youth sports coach. You've invested in the right families. You've invested in the right situation to where what you want as a business owner with your products, with your service, with whatever it is you're offering, you can now align it with a group of young men or women, college, not just college, but just young men or women who are being coached most likely by a volunteer who's really committed to serving his or her community. And you're able to make it so the money doesn't affect as much doesn't affect how people are showing up to work every day. All right. And this is incredibly important now, because these are the things that we're able to potentially take away. These are the things that we're able to say to ourselves, all right, look, if I'm going to run a campaign, we'll use this as an example. If I'm going to go run some marketing campaign where I'm hoping that I attract 10 to 15 new leads or to sell a certain amount of products, you would want to make it so the commitment level from the people that are pushing your brand are of the same commitment level of a youth football team that's really that's really on the cusp, or really believes that they can win a championship and do something special. That's where it starts to align. That's where, again, the loyalty that I have to these two programs is clear, because they're both having really, really tough years. And as we get into tomorrow's rivalry week, and I'll close you guys out just with this concept, because this is such a big, it's such a big deal when you're talking about the sports world, is when you're talking about rivalry week now the championship and the money and all the stuff that you may want, or the tangible things, or what's the word I'm looking for? The individual accolades, we'll say it like that. The individual things, the things that come with winning, all that stuff is being thrown out the window at this point. At this point, it's just about pride and playing for your university. It's about pride and playing for the things that you truly believe in. And, for tomorrow, this is why I'm so pumped about tomorrow. And on Monday's show, I'll dive deeper into the recap and talk a little bit more about everything that came out. But there was a time I coached high school football for 2 years, and one of the coaches on the staff, he used to coach at Virginia Union, and Virginia Union is a college. And he would tell me that whenever he was recruiting kids, that he would ask for their highlight tape, and then he'd ask for an individual game film of your rival school. All right. He would ask for, how did you compete against that rival school? And when we look at tomorrow, we're starting off, and which is just the rivalries that are kind of resonate with me that I'll be watching tomorrow. But it's Ohio State, Michigan. You guys know who I'm picking for that one. Let's go blue, baby. And then you have the Iron Bowl with Auburn, Alabama, which is, again, even though both those teams are probably out of the playoffs at this point, there's still a level of pride. And it's still about, again, a lot of pride in the university, who's going to get the bragging rights, who's going to go, throughout the season and being a part of that, who's going to have the bragging rights throughout the off season, and who's going to help when it comes to future recruiting, keeping guys local, keeping guys in state. And then the big one, in my opinion, it's still a pretty big one, even though both teams have had such a tough year, is Florida State and Florida. That's going to be at 7:00. So it's a full slate of rivalry football games. And I'll just close you out with this concept of, when it comes time to building a business, all right, and whatever the business is, whatever you as an owner are trying to do, make sure you take into account this thing that you see right here on the screen, the loyal to the soil, right? When you're trying to build something that you're trying to create an opportunity for whoever it may be, you have to be thinking of ways in which you can bring in folks that will be loyal to you, loyal to your products, loyal to your services, loyal to whatever it is you're trying to do, because it's going to be that loyalty, all right, that loyalty that pushes folks during the tough times, during the times in which you may not have it, during the times in which in the times in which there may be a hiccup, there may be some politics involved, there may be something that just happens in which you're unable to do whatever it is you're trying to do. That loyalty element to it is going to be where the biggest lessons come from. All right. So enjoy your Friday, folks. This has been great. I love doing this. This is the people that tune in, whether you're catching the replay, you're catching it live. Appreciate you guys tuning in so very much. Just know that there's more. There's more. I have a lot of material, a lot of things that I left out for the sake of time on this particular live, but I have a whole lot more coming up, and this has been an incredible Thanksgiving. Again, main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work. It's makeyeamove.com. That's MakeYeamove.com. Also, make sure you tap into the Patreon link. I'm on Patreon. I have a membership of exclusive community of business owners in which we will be diving deeper into these details and aligning a lot of these principles to how it can serve you in your business, and doing a ton of that, really been taking these lessons, getting deeper into these lessons so they're really in the fabric of your community, in the fabric of your business. So everybody walking in, they already know what the deal is. All right. So all that being said, as one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon. Oof. Swiftly, we talk more soon.